Here we are with Valery Uvarov. We are Project Camelot, and we're very pleased to be here in St. Petersburg, Russia. And how do you say that in Russian?
Sankt-Peterburg.
Peterburg. Okay. It's a beautiful city, lovely. And you are a very interesting man. We're very, very pleased to be here and welcomed into your home. You've been a very gracious host, and thank you very much for that.
You're more than welcome, my friend.
Thank you. So we want to begin with whatever you are comfortable with, whatever you would like to tell us about yourself. To begin with, we would be curious as to your history, how you came to be where you are today. We know that you're working with the government. Is this true at this time?
Well, yeah, more or less.
Okay.
Actually, everything was changed in my life on 1989. Before, I was a professional musician. I was studying as a mathematician, and also I was studying as an artist or painter. But at that year, when I suddenly noticed that the music I play, the whole life I'm living on, is a little bit different to something that is going on in reality around me. I have just understood that our civilization, our planet, has a certain or kind of problems, and it was a choice for me whether I play music as I did before, or I will try to take my part in the solution of that problem that I saw around me in this life. And I made a decision. On that 1989, I have visited a UFO conference here in Russia. And I met a lot of very interesting people and investigators over there. I have a lot of interesting stories. And something just changed in me. Everything was turned upside down. And I decided, I deny music, I deny everything in my life. And I decided to be fully devoted to investigation of UFOs, actual history of our planet and our civilization, and trying to take my own part in making this life, our civilization, better than it was before. So,
were you prompted to go to this UFO conference because you might have had an encounter with the visitors, if you would call them that, prior to that, consciously, or was this unconscious that you were prompted to go to the conference but you weren't sure why?
In my childhood, I have encountered someone, but at that time I didn't realize what took place. For me it was like something, well, maybe usual. Strange, but usual. Then I started to see strange visions, universe, flying spacecrafts, the other things. I was, crazy about any films, any books about, extraterrestrials and, fantasies. Probably it was always inside of me.
I see.
But on that year, 1989, it was like a deformation and transformation. I have suddenly clearly understood, that this new way is the real way for me.
How old were you then? Do you know?
Well, it
approximately?
Approximately.
Yeah.
It was 36 years.
Ah, really?
Just 36 years. And everything was changed. And I'm happy about it, I tell you. But really, now I'm a very lucky man. I do what I love to do. And I have made some very important discoveries, and I hope, and I am always sure we will talk about it today,
Yes.
and I will share some very interesting ideas.
And you've written some books as well, is this true?
Yeah, sure. I have written some books, some articles.
Uh-huh.
Also, I do publish Nexus magazine here in Russian language.
Okay.
I'm a main editor.
Wonderful. And originally we saw you as associated, being interviewed as part of Secret Space. This was Chris Everard's video on the space program. And you also have knowledge about this. Is this true?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
Okay. And you have some kind of background in mathematics? Can you tell us what that is?
It's a St. Petersburg Polytechnical Institute
Uh-huh.
where I have studied it.
I see. And is this a formal degree that you have, or is this some years of study?
No, it's just happened that it was some years of study, and then when this year came, and I have denied everything, and I just was completely focused on investigation. So I left everything and started to do what I started to do. But at the same time, being a musician, professional musician, a painter, and well, on one hand, a mathematician, it's much easier for me to understand what's going on. I can see one event, or let's say object, from three different point of views. As a musician, as a mathematician, well, it's much easier.
So you have the artistic side, you have the scientific side.
Yeah.
This is very interesting. And then you have, what would you say? I mean, the music and art and mathematics. This is a lot of similarities, right?
On one hand, yes. On one hand, I can look at things very freely. I'm not hidden in a small box of a science. You know,
Right.
Mathematician can look at the world just like mathematician. Okay, me not. I'm trying to see the event from the different point of views, and it's understandable for me, especially now when I need to see something hidden behind, for example, some events in the history of our civilization. I need to open mind and try to understand what stood behind this event. So I need to have a very broad view, and to be musician and artist and mathematician, it's very, very useful.
Now, your current job or title within the UFO, the government, and do you have a title? You know what I'm saying?
Well, actually it happened like this. Those people in military and government who were engaged for many years of investigation of these UFOs, they knew about me.
Yes.
And they have invited me to be a part of their interests.
I see.
Actually, it was like this. So, and they have invited me, and for example, there is a couple of organizations whose help I use in investigation. I am talking you openly. I use their help. When I need to get access to hidden data bank or some information which you cannot find in a library. So for this reason, I just part of military organization, and I'm able to get access to anything.
And you've done investigations on the pyramid and pyramid energy as well, and perhaps they gave you access to the pyramids or the Sphinx?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I'm interested in the science standing behind pyramid. This is the key moment, science. I'm absolutely sure that those people whom we know or whom we call hierophants, ancient Egyptians, actually not Egyptians, Atlantean priests. It was post-Atlantean priests. They were scientists of a very, very high level. I'm completely sure about that. And I actually am deeply interested in knowledge which they embodied in pyramids, in the temples, and anything that they have used, first of all, to develop their abilities energetical abilities, which later on helps to open up supersensitivity on one hand, and then on the other hand clairvoyance. Most of those abilities which they had, and you know, they were very unusual abilities, they were very, very powerful people. Mm-hmm. We now developed in a quite different way. So that's why it was my deepest interest to see what actually they have reached, they have filtered, they have received. Well, pretty soon, investigating ancient texts, I also came to the conclusion, all the knowledge that they had, they have received as a gift from a very, very high extraterrestrial civilization. And when I understood it, I said, now what I need to do is to try to find any even small piece of that knowledge left anywhere on the wall of a temple, in a pyramid, in an ancient text. I need to fill it out, to gather it here on my table, analyze, and bring the whole knowledge.
Mm-hmm. So you started this quest, I assume, after this experience and this realization you had in '89. So now we are in 2007, right?
Yeah.
So for this number of years, you've been working quite a long time. And you've written books about the pyramids, and you are building a pyramid, I understand.
Yeah.
Is this correct?
Now we're building a big stone pyramids.
Okay.
According to those knowledge which actually I have received investigating the ancient pyramids of different civilizations.
And what is this knowledge that can you tell me a couple of key things that you are building you are building actually more than one pyramid eventually here in Russia, not so far from here, you said?
Yeah, it's just 100 kilometers from St. Petersburg.
Uh-huh.
We have found a very, very ancient place where people were making like rituals for a few hundred years.
Okay.
And it's an earthquake, like a breaking, with a beam of energy getting out of the ground. So actually, I have done everything according to the ancient canon, the knowledge, how it should be done. So we found the right place. Actually, there are very good three very good places there. But now we are trying to we are actually setting a pyramid on one of these places.
I see. So it's an energy vortex that you have found.
Yeah, pretty strong energy vortex.
Uh-huh.
It's a key moment. We should do it. But at the same time, I came to a strict conclusion that what we actually know, I mean our civilization, knows about the pyramids and their effects, it's almost nothing to reality in comparison to reality.
Okay.
This is the reason that we have decided to set up a pyramid made according to the knowledge, not like pyramid shapes or some proportions, which actually we met investigating different pyramids. No, it's too small part of information. No, it's not enough. There should be much more. First of all, when the ancient priests were constructing the pyramids, they were doing it trying to tune on a certain person. For example, for Pharaoh or a priest. The Cheops pyramid is quite different instrument, and I was always interested in what made this pyramid a powerful instrument which could not only influence your energetic system, develop your abilities. Mm-hmm. First of all, how to get access, now listen very attentively, to the parallel dimensions of the earth and time.
Yes.
It's a key moment, because there you can find information about the history of planet Earth, and not only about previous time, also about our future. So you can get something that you even cannot imagine. This is the reason why I have devoted the whole book, which I just wrote and published here in Russia. It's the name of the book is the Pyramids.
Okay.
It's this one. I think it's going to be the same cover in English language too. I think this book will be published in English language in the nearest future. Mm-hmm. And there you can see the translation of the ancient texts. You will feel and understand the interests of ancient priests, why they spent so many years and so many, money also, just to set up a huge pyramid. Why? Just to bury a pharaoh? No. It's quite for different purposes. Mm-hmm. And we have decided to get the same possibilities now setting up this pyramid. So we have found a place, we have found a knowledge. Inside of this new pyramid we are constructing now, there will be 25 resonators, so room resonators. Now you see, in the pyramid of Cheops, you know at least 3, okay? 3 rooms. In our pyramid it will be 25 pyramids.
I see. But are you talking about also using the crystals and the power of the crystals?
We are going to set up there energy sources. Mm-hmm. Not just crystals, it's energy sources. Okay. Because if you set up a pyramid without energy source, you will never get what you at least imagine to get.
The vortex, is this not the energy source, the major?
No.
No?
No, it's just, it's like a gas, okay? It's like a gas, but to get a power out of it, you need a motor.
Right.
So what I called energy source, it's a device. It's a certain device which you put inside of the pyramid in a certain place, and the pyramid will affect the space and time, making kind of a combustion of space. And here starts something very, very interesting and unusual. So we came to this understanding, and we immediately decided to start construction of the pyramid, and we have started to do this at the end of the last year. And I think that at the end of this October 2007 we will complete construction.
Now, have you shared your knowledge with other countries at all, or is this purely inside Russia?
Actually, it's purely inside Russia.
Because this would be very interesting, I'm sure, to most, certainly to American researchers, but other countries as well.
I love some American researchers, like I love, for example, Graham Hancock, and I love Buell and Gilbert, and many others. I love them very much because they have affected me deeply. I want to say thanks to them for all they have done. And, at the same time, they brought to light, to people, some very unusual ideas, saying that, listen, just look attentively on the pyramids, or look attentively on some other things. They just point out that there is something unusual, but mostly they were not giving an answers.
Right. Okay.
What I'm doing, I'm trying to give an answers. More or less, I'm lucky to find an answers. And the book, The Pyramids, it's the book having an answers.
Now, you mentioned over our short, lovely meal that we had, that you had sort of some interactions with these visitors that kind of guided you on the journey that you're on now. Is this right?
Yeah,
and gave you sort of some insight into where you should go with this.
Yes, on one hand, yes.
And you call them, what did you call them?
I would call them visitors.
Okay.
To say extraterrestrials, on one hand, you can call them extraterrestrials. But on the other hand, when you start to understand how actually this space is constructed, you come to understanding that the most, distant place in our galaxy is less than 1 minute to go to the Earth. Less than 1 minute. it means, well, according to what we know about our planet, and in comparison with the period which our civilization is now here on this planet, is the people, human people, are visitors here. They are so long, so many times, so many thousands of years here, controlling the situation. So I would say them as those people who is trying to keep the whole situation on the planet in a certain path. So when I met these visitors in my life for the first time, it was pretty long ago. I was in expedition. My first simple question was, well, what are you doing here? As on that moment, as any normal citizens, normal people, even in America, just having ideas about their abilities, they are flying, they have so unusual possibilities. Well, what they're doing here? What is their interest? The answer was pretty simple, and at the same time, this answer just turned up my life. One of those whom I saw said, if you want to understand our interests, you should learn the history of your civilization, your pre-history. Then you will understand our interests. From that moment, I started to do my best investigating the history of our civilization. And now I can tell you, I came to understanding what took place and what their main interest is in.
Okay, what is their main interest, do you think? Is it in the future and future events that they feel are coming down? Or is this a genetic interest in our species?
First of all, I would like to explain to you that if you want to get just one answer, you will never get the right answer. It's, on one hand, it's pretty complicated. Then, if you at least would prefer to make a shortest step forward to understanding, what I would recommend to you is just take, if you can, and understand that there are no past and future. There is only present. Now. What's going on now? For me, at the beginning, it was like nothing. I thought, what it means? Not past, there is no future, everything is going on now. I had to investigate and to be inside of this, situation for a pretty long time. And then, when I understood how it works, and it's really so, then you start to deeply understand that if you plan, if you want to change the planet, the humanity, actually something for better, develop it in a right way, you need to know what took place over there. And at the same time, you need to know what will happen for us in our future. But as soon as this future for us is actually already taking place now. So, from your future, you can go and get into contact with you in the past. Just to help yourself to change something in your life in the past for better. Then, if something will happen different, your present will be changed. And future will be changed for better. It's only one way. So what they are doing here, they are trying to keep and to somehow control these multiple dimension events of our life, so that we would understood how it's all constructed. They never interfered. They only can give you just a small, tiny idea. So just a hint. And then, if you are a right person, you should understand what you will do then will be your personal responsibility. for the future. It's not like this, like some teachers or people say, well, extraterrestrials and gods, they are so perfect, they will control me. Even if I will make a mistake, they will help me to correct my mistakes. And no, it's not, in reality, it's not like this. What they can do is just to give some hints. But then you take your own personal responsibility.
So, have you studied Eastern philosophy and, enlightenment and knowledge about the chakras and so on?
Sure. I did it. I did it completely. But in some couple of years later, I came to a strict understanding that if you start, or you will try to see what stands behind this knowledge, using the knowledge, for example, of Buddhism or Hinduism, you will never ever get reality. It's impossible, because in the way, in the form which you can use and understand, this knowledge stayed, I usually say, alive only in Egypt. Only in Egypt. And in my book I'm showing these texts. If you take Hinduism or Eastern tradition, it's so deformed, it's so already turned in different parts and pieces, you will never ever get the understanding of reality. This is the reason why I deeply dived, I would say, in Egyptology, working with text, because there you can see the beginning of the whole story. And in this book, for example, I gave already this very, very old knowledge that was named or called in ancient times Kabbalah-on. This is the knowledge of a unity of construction of human and universe. How it's constructed, actually, it's one and the same thing. So if you want to understand it, you should start from the beginning. And this beginning, not deformed beginning, you can find only in Egypt, nowhere else.
Now, when you said you were contacted on an expedition, were you in Egypt at the time of your contact?
No, in Siberia.
Siberia?
Yeah, it was expedition connected to my investigation of Tungus case.
Now, we want to hear about this, Tungus, because you have just written a new book about this. Is that right?
Actually, I'm going to finish it. Actually, the whole book will be devoted to the 100 years university.
Oh yes, is this coming year,
yes.
Right?
Next year.
Next year.
It's coming already.
Yes.
So, and this book will give the idea of what took place over there. Actually, you will get answers. Within the last 70 years of investigation, scientists at least have got and brought to people around 300 different hypotheses. And most of them are so different, people cannot put it together. In this book, I am putting all together and giving you I'm describing the whole event so that all these different hypotheses are coming together as the one.
I see. We met with a scientist, and Bill, perhaps you could explain his point of view yesterday.
Yeah, we met
Chernobrov.
with Chernobrov, and we asked him about Tunguska, and he said that there was a similar event that happened near Lake Baikal much more recently.
Yeah.
And he felt that the traces of radioactivity that were detected in the Tunguska region could be explained by this being the impact of a comet. And he felt that some of the radioactive isotopes that were discovered there actually are present in comets. And he felt that the Baikal incident suggested that was a reasonable hypothesis. He was very careful not to present conclusions about it, but that's what he felt his best guess was.
I know.
We welcome you.
I know this.
So does he agree, or do you agree with him, or is your understanding different, or?
To say agree or not agree, it wouldn't give you a right approach,
Okay.
my own approach. Actually, working and trying to find an answer what took place in Tunguska, I have learned a lot of materials, a lot of results of investigation of different scientists, and I'm very grateful for them for this. They gave me a lot of information. I would never do it myself, never. But at the same time, when I came to understanding what took place there, and what is critically important is that people have described and explained what took place in Tunguska, or I mean this event. They gave this answer in a few years of this event. Actually, they did it almost immediately. The problem was that when scientists representing different fields of science came to Tunguska and started to ask witnesses what they saw, they naturally just took the whole story in small pieces, because those people who had a botanic education, they tried to explain the event from their point of view. Astronomers, they tried to explain event like comet or meteorite. Geologists, they gave their own understanding. So they tear up the whole story into small pieces. More than 300 small pieces.
Okay.
But at the same time, you should understand, because that event was the one event. And there is only one truth stands behind it. And actually, if you would just ask yourself, you would agree that something, well, on one hand, pretty simple took place, which we cannot see, because all traces are there. In Tunguska area, everything is there. And if we do not see these traces, it doesn't mean that something else took place there. The whole story, the whole explanation, on the one hand, is out of even possibility for human people to accept their reality.
Okay.
What I would say at the beginning now, shortly, that was meteorite.
Okay.
Yes, that was meteorite. But this meteorite was carrying a dangerous bacteria. And somebody shut it down, destroyed, as they did it many, many times. And they do it each century for a few times. When I was investigating, the documents, I found a very interesting story. Listen. Shortly, when Stalin had learned about the Tunguska case, and especially Lavrentiy Beria, it's a very, very special man who was subjected to investigate and to influence development of nuclear weapons in Russia at that time. He has gotten information about unusual event, very looking like a nuclear explosion, but took place in 1908. So when they have investigated pictures, they sent an expedition, military expedition, to that area. And this military expedition was, well, in a civil dresses. They had only one task: to gather information. And now look, when they asked some people in the area of explosion, people said, very, very shortly after explosion, the local indigenous people saw a group of strange visitors having very highly developed equipment on them on 1908, investigating soils. So they saw them. Tell me who they were. Very highly equipped people on 1908, who they were. It's just a short beginning. But at the same time, I can tell you, reality is amazing. Amazing. There are somebody who is preserving the planet Earth because of this meteorite having dangerous bacteria.
I see.
Somebody have created, constructed what I personally call like an installation. Part of this installation is in Siberia, and it's active. On the other hand, and I'm very sorry about it, one of the device having close connection to this installation is situated in China, and China already found it, and they are investigating it.
Are you saying they have something that contains this bacteria?
No, they are investigating a part of equipment that was shooting down meteorite.
So is this
This is serious.
This is the visitors' equipment, is it not?
Yes. I know exactly. They found it. And they do investigate it already.
Right.
And in the nearest future, you will be a witness of a jump of, development of some technologies in China.
Okay.
Much more, the advanced that you even can imagine. Unfortunately, they do it, investigation, in Russia. No, still not.
How did you find this out, though? Can you tell us?
Well, if you will, if you will allow me,
no, okay.
I will keep it, okay?
Okay.
But believe me, they already do.
Okay, this is.
We have a lot of this material over Siberia. A lot. I would say thousands of tomes of these materials. But our science and representatives of our science, they do not interested at all.
I see. Really?
No.
Well, now, when your book is released, it's not yet released here. Is that correct?
About Tunguska case.
Yes.
It will be released next year.
Okay. So once your book comes out, perhaps this will change.
I'm not sure about this.
No?
No. This is the reason why what I do plan personally. I want to organize some expedition, 1 or 2 expeditions, international expeditions.
Fabulous.
Some people from America, Russia, Germany, Australia move there, so that when it will happen, it should be under a reasonable control of humanity.
I see.
Because there, just at this particular moment, just believe me. You have nothing to do just to believe me. The technology there at the moment is so developed, you even cannot imagine.
Okay, now I have a jump for you, because you said also during our dinner conversation that there were 3 events that were, I guess, meteors that had hit this planet at different periods of time in history and changed our planet. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And then you said Tunguska was a tiny event in relation to these bigger events.
Sure. If you just read materials brought forward to people by astronomers about asteroids, defense system, which actually Americans are working over, you will find idea that, for example, big asteroids, maybe 1 kilometer in diameter, are hitting planet Earth maybe one time in 300,000 years, or maybe even in 1 million years.
Mm-hmm.
When I was investigating the ancient texts, I came to not only understanding. In my book, The Pyramids, I'm giving the ancient texts everything. I mean, like translation, you will see everything there. That the asteroids with a diameter more than 1 kilometer or hit the planet at least 2 times within the last 16,000 years, at least. Actually 3 times, but first 2, and especially those whom I name Azores, which hit a planet in the area of Azores Islands.
Mm-hmm.
It took place exactly 13,660 years ago from the autumn of this year. Exactly. And in the book I'm giving exact calculations and ancient calendars,
Right.
showing you exact date when it took place.
Now, are you saying that this might be a cyclical event?
Yeah, this is, you did it, my friend. Great, great.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most important idea,
Mm-hmm.
that those ancient calendars, Mayan calendars,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the ancient Egyptian calendars, which I call like a catastrophic calendars, I would say like this.
Okay.
They are giving information about the periods when huge asteroids are hitting the planet Earth. And those ancient hierophants, they were trying to bring or to give or to leave for following future people information that in a certain moment a following asteroid will hit the planet. You should be ready for this. Otherwise, people can be,
So
killed.
you are, so to jump from here, we can say that there is another event scheduled sometime in our future in which this may occur again.
I would say that the most interesting and unusual event, which is ahead of us and very close, very, very close to us.
And are you saying the Mayan calendar 2012?
Right.
Around this time?
Yes.
Now, is it your understanding? I don't know if you've studied the work of Zecharia Sitchin.
Yeah. I know his work very, very good.
And are you talking about the return of Planet X? Are you talking about the dwarf, the brown dwarf, which is talked about by scientists because we have some contacts who are talking about what they call a brown dwarf, with a planet that is accompanying it in a circular orbit. This orbit being a very long, elongated 26,000
I know
years. This is not what you're
theory,
saying?
very, very good.
Yes.
No, the reality is quite different.
Okay.
Again and again and again, even now, at this moment, I would like to repeat again. What I'm working with are the ancient texts,
Yes.
which you can use and read and interpret. These ancient texts say that 13,660 years ago, when Azores asteroid hit the planet Earth lost its orbit and started to fly away from the sun. Somebody whom we call now as the curators, somebody took a huge part of destroyed planet Moloch, which this huge part of this planet now we name a moon. And this ancient text, Egyptian texts, give you exact description, so that somebody took this huge part, or this piece, took it into magnetic field of the planet Earth, increased the mass of the planet Earth, and fixed the planet where it is now. Before, planet Earth was moving around the Sun with a period of 360 days. When it moved away from the Sun, and it was fixed there with the help of the Moon, now we have 365 days. So, right after that, they have created Venus and put Venus where it is now, ancient texts. Even Mayan calendar said that the Venus was created 3,113 years before Christ. Okay?
Okay.
So everything we heard. But what took place also? Those who were living on Mars, and ancient texts say exactly, those who gave the knowledge to the previous civilization, they were from Mars and Maldek. But now we see these planets are, Maldek is destroyed, we have an asteroid belt around, no planet.
I see.
Mars was attacked by asteroids, lost its atmosphere, moved away from its original place, but that somebody had fixated him. Also, it's there. But those who lived on those planets, they have moved to one other planet of a solar system. I don't know how, but the idea is that this planet now is on the same orbit as the Earth, but right behind the Sun. Quite opposite. We are moving with the same speed, and this is the reason why we mostly cannot see it. But at the same time, there are some periods when we can see this planet, and astronomers have seen this planet and registered this planet. And in my book I am giving the full description of those events.
Are you saying these people, are you calling them the Anunnaki or no?
Yeah, yes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you call them.
Sure.
Doesn't matter.
But is it the people that are it's the same reference that some researchers are using for this group of people who actually came to Earth originally and brought and genetically engineered our species? Is this how you see?
I wouldn't say genetically,
No.
No, it was a little bit different.
Okay.
Genetic effects took place on planet Earth very, very long ago. Much far. I mean, this event is quite different. So, the most idea is that on 2012, we are about to witness, I would say, destability of solar system.
Causing asteroids?
No. It will be in connection with unusual activity of the Sun.
Of the Sun?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unusual activity of the Sun on one hand will affect instability of the planet behind the Earth. Behind the Sun, sorry. Behind the Sun. That's the first thing. But on the other thing, there is another very, very important key moment. If you remember ancient Mayan texts, you will find some interesting idea. This text say, previous star teachers will go away, and new ones will come here. And people I'm working with, we have found and understood a mechanism, what stands behind this. To understand this, we need to add, to give idea of a certain energetic mechanism of the planet Earth, which is closely connected with time and space. This, what you can see now here, This is a geographical axis. Okay?
Yes.
This is magnetical axis.
Okay.
So when it starts to rotate, it forms like this.
Okay.
So the central focal point is here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you see?
Mm-hmm.
This is the 30 and 35 latitude. This is exactly where all civilization of the former world have developed. China, Egypt, Mayan, everything is here.
Okay.
So now look, investigating scientific materials, we came to understanding that this part, when it goes wider or different way, this pulsation here and here has a period of 4 years. 4 years period. But now, something very unusual started to take place. This part started to go wider, wider, and this focal point started to move to the north.
Okay.
On 2012, this focal point will move on the northern pole, and field of time and space will be opened. And this is here we will be witnesses of appearance of a stargate.
Okay.
Stargate.
Uh-huh.
Through this stargate, former teachers will go away and new ones will come. And everything, all this event will be closely connected with activity of the sun and appearance of instability of the planet behind the sun. So we are about not only to see this planet, and it means we will be very close to start a reasonable, understandable contact with our predecessors.
Mm-hmm. So are you saying that also the movement of, if I understand it correctly, our galaxy close into the center of the galactic plane, do you see anything
what you
of
mean,
this influence?
What you mean when the solar system fly through the galactic plane, this is the moment when we go through meteorite flow and asteroid flow.
I see.
And that's why periodically we move through it and we have these asteroid impacts. But what I'm talking now has a quite different period.
I understand.
Quite different period.
Okay.
But a very unusual period.
And are you saying we're going into a different dimension?
Not we. We will be here. We are here and we will stay here, where we are now.
Right.
But those who was controlling the solar system, I mean curators, we will be witnesses how they will go. Someone will go away, and new ones will come here. Will come out here.
I see. But who are you working with? If you can tell me your team, is this scientists, philosophers?
All of them, but mostly scientists. Scientists.
So there's scientific basis for this understanding.
Yeah. This is what I'm giving you now in a simple way. It's pure science.
Okay.
Pure science.
I understand. So the stargates that's opening up, is this at the North Pole, you're saying?
Yes, North Pole.
And what kind of preparations are you making? Is this part of the reason why you're building the pyramids? To
on one hand,
bring on the energy, facilitate
No. First of all, what I would say, first of all, what will take place on planet Earth will critically affect human health.
Okay.
Those ones who will have, to this moment, not good health, they will be dying of heart attacks, blood vessels problems,
Okay.
We came to understanding, it's a key moment, those people who is developing inner abilities, energetic abilities, clairvoyance, something like this. And in case if they are doing it without knowledge, which that was left behind by ancient priests, 70% of them, even 80% of them, are dying from cancer. What it means and how it happens. An answer is in the field which we can now try to explain. Look, when somebody starts to meditate, trying to get a cosmic energy, okay? You start to meditate and like imagine the energy is coming into you, and it happens. That's all right. When you are a bearer of this energy, okay, your own inner biological time is slowing down. On one hand, that's okay, because you will feel much more, energy inside. Your clairvoyance will be opened. This is what we need. But when the phone started to ring, or you need to go back home to do what you should do for your family, right? You just switched off from this energy vortex. Immune system made, this like a the immune system tries to return back to the normal position, okay? Speeding up inner time, because you have slowed it down. Immune system immediately starts to make it just speeding up. Speeding up of inner time causes beginning of a cancer. Immediately. This is the reason why the world well-known teachers like Jiddu Krishnamurti, Ramana Maharishi, Vivekananda, Sri Aurobindo, Mira Alfassa, the mother actually, Madame Blavatsky, Reirich, Castaneda, Osho, all of them died of cancer.
Okay.
We have found this warning left by ancient priests. This warning says, if you will be developing your abilities without knowledge how it should be done, you will never cross the border of death. You will die. So we have found these texts. We understood the meaning. And first of all, we started to investigate and develop the system of defense for myself, for the scientists and specialists I'm working with. This is the key moment. And actually, this is the reason why I would say people in the nearest future, when 2012 will be very close to you, you should take in account that you should perfect, you should develop your health. Otherwise, thousands, if I would say maybe even hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions, will not survive these changes. And one of the instruments which ancient used for this, I mean to preserve themselves against cancer, to step over the border of death, that was the pyramids and so-called the wands of Horus. So, metallic, I would say tubes, reach any of ancient Egyptian pharaohs, sculptures of pharaohs and priests, they have it in their hands. I wrote a book about it, which is called The Wands of Horus, giving the ancient texts and explanations and ideas what stands behind this. I myself deeply understood that this is the key moment, and now we are developing it. And this is one of the reasons why we are setting up now big stone pyramids to prepare ourselves, our health, before this very important event.
I see.
We should be prepared, otherwise
Well, is this not also, first of all, the pyramid is considered an ascension, a machine for an ascension.
Mm-hmm.
And in a sense, what you're talking about is this ability of the body to ascend spiritually through the use of this medium?
No, I wouldn't say like this. Everything is much more simple.
Okay.
When you are talking about ascension,
Yes.
in reality it's different. No, I would say everything is much more simple. What you need to do is to correct two flaws of time, which actually we call like yin yang ba ka.
Sure.
We think, everybody think that according to Western tradition, Eastern tradition, it's like a human beginning, male beginning, female beginning, or something like this, and we should balance these powers, and then, everything will be okay, no illnesses. Said, on one hand, that's more or less true, but the reality is quite different. These yin yang are two flaws of time moving to each other. So, if these flaws of time are balanced inside of you, you get a very interesting effect. You conservate your biological time. And then you can live 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, 1,000 years, no problem. But it should be balanced. Time. Pyramid is correcting time. Yes. Biological time in a human being.
But this is the triangle. The top point of the triangle symbolizes this unity.
It means that you are talking just about symbolism.
Sure.
I'm talking about mechanism.
I understand.
It's a different thing. Sure, human being one thing, power another thing, and third one, it's a bak-ka, human being, trinity. It's like a plus and minus in electricity. If you take plus and minus, immediately interaction between them starts.
Yes.
Three.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
It's a principle.
Yes.
So this triangle is nothing else than the symbol of principle.
Yes.
But we are talking about mechanism. How to use not a symbol. The symbol you can put here and walk around. But at the same time, if you have the symbol here, it doesn't mean that your inner time is balanced. No, completely no. We need to balance it.
What is your plan? What is your plan for going into the pyramid, using the pyramid to help balance this?
It's not only just to go there and to balance it. On one hand, yes. On the other hand, it's a practice. We are developing the practice. As soon or as long as we read some texts, ancient texts, we came to understanding how it works. Immediately we started, or we tried, to set up a pyramid and to use it. We made it. And we saw the results, very interesting results. Now we want to develop it. To develop it, we need a real instrument, real pyramid. Not like, for example, are done now in Russia by Alexander Golod. It's the pyramids, a few pyramids like this, they're made of wood, like a plastic. No, it should be a pyramid of a special angles made of quartz, white quartz, having a big own weight. It should be a very, very big one, so that its own frequency would be lower and equal or somehow resonatable with the frequency on a lower level with the planet Earth. So we are connecting the pulsation, the most important pulsation, I call it like heartbeating of the planet Earth, to pyramids. So when they start to work together, inside of this field, a human being just transformed unbelievably. So we need to do it, and then we can make it. Otherwise, we'll be just talking stories, just
I understand.
ideas.
So if you build these pyramids in this one place, is it your suggestion that eventually more pyramids are built
It would be great.
on the planet?
Yeah, at least we are going here in Russia to set up more pyramids. Now we will be setting up at a certain area where we work now at least 2 pyramids or 3. And at the same time we are now planning to set up a complex of pyramids which will be having 9 pyramids. A complex of 9 pyramids. Sure, if we set up some complexes around the world, as ancient text says, energetic capacities of the planet positively affecting growing of a human consciousness it will happen. It's a key moment. You cannot do it the other way. So if you want to develop it and to stimulate it, the pyramids is key moments. But the pyramids should be set up all over the planet.
Now, what about the indigo children? We interviewed Boriska a few days ago, and he has recall, as you know, having been in Nexus magazine, and you know about the article that was written about him, and he has recall of his past life on Mars, and he talked about the wars that went on, and then he talks about, he's basically coming here as a young child with total recall. Is there something that you know about these little children that are being born now that you see, in a sense, are balancing already these key elements of the positive and negative, so that they almost don't necessarily need the pyramid to be there already? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand clearly.
And have you thought about this?
This is the reason why I say pyramid have been and will be the key moments. Key moments. What about the people having these possibilities? Actually, there are much more people having these possibilities that you even can imagine. But unfortunately, most of them are not able to develop further on a higher level. The pyramid is an instrument which is giving you a possibility to step over the border of death. I'm sure that development of inner abilities, are you an indigo child or not, this development will affect your system and will cause problem with the health, especially cancer, for sure. To step over, we need to use knowledge and instruments.
I understand.
And pyramids are critically necessary.
И много-много молока. Поэтому он так хорошо подходит для подзарядки. Киндер-ган. Сила злака, энергия молока. Когда блеск моих волос такой роскошный, я чувствую...